Hey guys, Michael Newrock here. Thanks for joining me today, 23rd of August, for this market analysis video. And thanks for your support. With these, I think they're going to be a great improvement rather than weekly webinars. All right, so here we go. We're sitting on gold at the moment, and I'm going to summarize through these charts. Some days are going to be a bit more detailed. Some days are going to be a bit more quicker, depending on what moves have happened since the previous video. But the nice thing is there'll be some real continuity, and it's pretty much what I do every day when I go through the charts, which I recommend that everyone should do. So here we start with gold. Now, we have had a recent downward trend move, but it wasn't validated by the trend Profiteer system. And, we're currently sitting on 4 out of 6 of the high time frames being upward. There's been a lot of bulls that have been pushing gold price higher for quite some time. So usually what happens in cases like that is a short may be okay if there's some good momentum. In other words, what I mean is, or a good attack of the moving average crossover. You want to see a real steepness, and this one was pretty good. But the steeper you can get it, the better. This one wasn't, such a good one, and I wasn't real confident with it. So the system is telling us that it's upward. It has already moved high, but the benefit of that is that there's a lot of people on the same side of the trade that is upward. So what I would do in that situation is drop down to another time frame, because it's just recently gone through the 4 hour, and if we waited for the 4 hour again, price, and just flick back up here, price may be up to here by that stage. So what I'm eyeing is this recent high. So we're looking at about 1,500 pips, or about a $15 price move the move in the price of gold from 1,285 to around 1,300. So let's just drop it down again to the 1 hour. And you can see there's not quite a trade there at this stage in the 1 hour. So if I was really interested in this particular pair, particular trade opportunity, then I would drill down to a lower time frame. So 30-minute is starting to look like a possibility. And if you wanted to wait for that, then there could be a good move upward. But in my mind, I'd like to see price sitting up around here. Let's just bring this up around the 1286.50 thereabouts, 1287. I want to see some move in this trade setup. So let's just drop it down to a 15-minute. And 15-minute is actually one of my favorite, or my favorite time frame for the shorter time frames. So don't worry about the Goldilocks zone. I don't really have it calibrated up on this, but one thing is for sure, it's a nice move to the upside. It is a valid alert that's just occurred. So missed out on the trade here. So what do you do when you miss out on the trade? Let's just bring up the where are we? Oh, not that one. Okay, I've got my charts shrunk down on this, so okay, sorry about that. All right, so what I'll do, because my chart doesn't quite fit in for this video, is I brought line studies down. What I need to do is click on the draw text box, click on the chart anywhere, type in go long, and make sure that's all lowercase. Put it in the text bar as well, go long, click OK. The alert will pop up just to confirm the trade, because I don't have it set on autonomous trading. Click yes, and there you go. It'll bring up the trade. So let's just bring line studies back up there. You can see the stop has already been placed there as well. Let's get rid of this. And I've got my my presets already set up for gold. So I'm looking at 500 pips for target one, which is just a $5 movement in the price of gold. So where is that? Yeah, that's about right. I mean, I could drop it down to a little lower just to be just above or just below this high. That's what you want to do, but these are my default settings for gold. So I'm going to continue with the other opportunities, but as far as gold, there is an opportunity now. I've taken it, and we're looking at, if we go back to the 4-hour, you can see here, probably better on the 1 hour, but anyway, here's the high that I'm looking at. So it's a it's a $15 movement in the price of gold from 1285 to 1300 thereabouts, which would net about 1,500. If it breaks through here, then it could be going even higher. Now, for the trade assistant to work, you need to keep it on the time frame that it was entered on. It's fine to to change the time frames around, but just make sure that you put it back to where it originally was. All right, let's have a look at euro. And the euro yesterday was looking a lot more positive than it is today. It's had a bit of a collapse. However, the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars, including the current bar, has found support, or seemingly found support at around this level. Okay, so that's interesting because you can see right here it was used as support for this move here, and prior to that, we can see support was over here as well. So what that tells us is that just on the recent history, we can see that it has acted as support. So it's still bidirectional in its nature. If we get a movement to the upside, then we could see some further moves. I wouldn't be saying this is short at this stage. A crossover hasn't actually occurred. Well, there you go. It's just changed dynamically to 4 out of 6. So, I'd be looking at seeing what eventuates here. If the price collapses here, then it could be a nice 4-hour trade to the downside. But if it does push up, then what I'd suggest is maybe, just like the gold, drop down to a shorter time frame. Say, take a look. The 1 hour is not quite ready yet. The trend follower still has to change. So let's drop it down to 30. And that's not looking like the type of crossover that I normally would go for. There's just not enough of a swing. Let's look at the 15 again, and there you go. We've got a trade that's actually well, that's active right now. So once again, if I wanted to take that trade, I would just type go long because I've missed the trade from the trade assistant. And it would then place the targets and would activate the trade. So let's just do it now rather than me babbling away. I'm going to click on the A button here. So click anywhere on the chart, and this window will come up. Again, type go long, and then type go long on the text as well. The alert pops up. Click yes to take the trade, and there you go. Okay, so I'm going to move the line studies back up here, just get it off the chart, and you can see, okay, our stop was placed. Now, it's been placed way too low, so I can adjust that by just going into settings and then changing the settings. The reason for that is that the initial stop is set at a minimum of 35. However, there really is a lot less in this trade needed from there down to the moving average. I mean, it's less than 10 pips. So I'm not going to do it now, but what I could do is change the stop loss, say the initial stop of say a maximum of 15 pips maybe instead of 35, and or even 10, because it's going to take it on the minimum, just because just under the moving average is only about 7 pips. So you want to give your trade a little bit of room to move. I would say 10 pips would be the least that you would be looking for. So euro could be a good possibility of going up. And the thing that I like about it again is that even though there's a bit of consolidation here, all along here, right back to the well over the last 24 or so hours, if it breaks through this consolidation, then there's some nice opportunity to move upwards of 60, 70 pips. Yeah, so 15-minute is probably a good trade setup right now. Let's move on to the pound. Pound is still just as it was yesterday. It's looking weaker than the euro. I did mention this trade yesterday, but it wasn't to be. Looks like it's failed, but worth a few pips punt because the reward was so high. The return on investment, the ROI was really good, but it didn't look like the strongest of trades from the very beginning. It didn't have that nice parabolic curve of the yellow moving average moving further away from the grey moving average and then snapping back. It stayed very, very close. So it was always a bit dicey. And currently looking at a downward market condition, but again, I would not necessarily be looking at that trade right now. What are we looking at? If you notice the price here, once again, you can see like it's pretty much to the pip that this bar found support at exactly where we're at. And it was acted as resistance right here, support on this little rally, and support here as well. And of course here. So I would not be looking at this as a short at this stage. It's just moved already, too far to the downside. If I was looking at a short, then I'd look for a correction and then reassess at that time. But in my mind, it may be dragged up with the euro if the euro does take off. So look for an opportunity on a shorter time frame as it changes to a bidirectional or better yet, a conservative buy trade. But as it stands now, I wouldn't see a trade in that for a short. All right, moving on. Euro pound, no trade there. It's already moved. I mean, look at it. It's already moved. From here. Okay, so that's around 200 pips, 230 pips. Sorry. So nice move there, and it's still in a conservative uptrend. So again, look for a correction and maybe look to go long at a better point. Pound Swiss, very close to call, bidirectional in nature. Wouldn't be really looking for a sell at this stage. So again, I'm on the sidelines on this, just waiting for a better opportunity and for the dust to settle and for more guidance on which direction is the better way to go. Aussie, this is an interesting one. I was saying yesterday that it had drifted down quite a bit, but nothing would surprise me. These buys hadn't gone very well, and I wasn't quite sure yesterday of which way it was going to go. It was pointing up at that stage, which is about here, and it could have gone that way, but this doesn't really surprise me at all. The Aussie's been under a lot of pressure, and if we just move to the daily, it's already collapsing. It's going sideways. So it is a difficult one to call on this. On the weekly, you are in a full upward trend for the last few weeks. So that's why there's a little bit of complexity here. But as it stands as a 4-hour, that's a pretty reasonable trade because once again, if you have your stop placed around here, 30 pips just above your slow moving average, that's the gray moving average, and you've got around 90 pips to the low here. So that's a 1 to 3 risk reward ratio. In other words, your reward is 3 times bigger than your risk. So that's always good. It places you in better odds. So a short on the Aussie currently. That incidentally helps the case of the Euro Aussie that I was talking about yesterday, and we'll have a look at that shortly, see how that's gone. Kiwi, Similar, and I did mention yesterday that the Kiwi was the weaker of the two, so not a surprise to see that fall. And the reason why I said that the Kiwi was lower was or weaker than the Aussie was, if you look at the Aussie Kiwi, the correlation between the two, the Aussie is much stronger than the Kiwi because it's going up, and the full deck 6 out of 6. So I saw someone in the chat room that took the Kiwi, so good on you. Congratulations. I hope that you made some decent pips out of it. Right here, it looks like we may be reaching support. If it breaks through, then fantastic if you're in that short trade. If not, then look for another opportunity to go short again. And the Aussie's got more room for it to move, but it is a little stronger, so it doesn't surprise me that it hasn't fallen as far and quickly as the Kiwi, but that's not saying that it won't. Okay, dollar CAD. This is an interesting one, and I've been bullish on the US dollar, particularly when things are a little bit more stable and there isn't turmoil in the White House. Um, anyway, it has been going upwards for this decent run here, and then it started moving down. I think that this downward move is coming to an end. We're looking here; the yellow moving average is coming up to towards the slow moving average, the gray moving average. So if there's a crossover there, this trend follower will also change to green as the prices moves up. It'll drag this trend follower with it. The stochastic is about to change, crossover right now. It's still a way to go on the MACD, but there's at least another 1 or 2 bars before an actual valid trade comes up on the 4 hour, and the RSI is close to the 50 as well. So that's likely to happen. Let's drop down. Let's have a look at the 1 hour. Okay, it's very flat, and of course we've got some resistance here, so not enough for me to look at it right now on those shorter time frames compared to, say, the gold or the euro on those shorter time frames. We'll take a look at that in the 30 minutes already taken off, but it was a pretty rocky start. You can see it just went flat for the first 7 or 8 bars. Not what you want to see. Now, though, it's taking off. So here's a swing that is going to possibly be validated in about 9 minutes from now, and this could be a good one. Could give the momentum for it to move higher. And of course, on the risk, we're looking at around 20 pips, and on the reward, we're looking at around 70 pips. So again, 1 to 3, 1 to 4 risk to reward. And if we drop it down to the 15-minute, we'll see a similar situation here. Okay, so yeah, you had this consolidation period, but it eventually did go, not the 15 in this case. So I'd be looking at the 30. That would be my pick for the dollar CAD if you were wanting to get involved in this particular pair. Then the 30-minute, it's conservative for 4 out of 6, pointing up. The 4 hours eventually going, the next couple of 4-hour bars change over if it continues like this. Let's have a look at the 1 hour just one more time. Okay, so it's if it does provide a swing, it's only going to be where the MACD was red for only 1 bar. And you do have the settings. If you want to trade it on the 1 hour, then you do have the settings to change. I think the default is set at 2. Usually the more the better, but that's not always the case. And it's just a way of being able to hotwire the system to be able to take that trade. And of course, you've got the manual trades as well. But on a technical basis, 30-minute has my eye, has my attention a lot more, and it would be a nice valid swing trade. So 30-minute potentially on the dollar CAD, or wait for a 4-hour. 4-hour is sometimes you're still going to get in a good price because it might shoot up, but it might drop back down to a more nicer price. But provide a valid 4-hour trade. That's what we're always looking at. And in this case, let's say hypothetically, it came in at around 1260 2 thereabouts. You've got about 40 pips for your stop loss, and to the high you've got about 150. So almost 1 to 4. And if it breaks through this high, then put your party hat on. On the daily, we're looking like plenty of room here. So it's no doubt it's been going down for quite some time, and that's for other reasons, more sort of global type reasons, political reasons, in as far as the current administration and the turmoil that they're having. But all of that makes for markets that are not complying, because on the fundamentals of it, the jobs have been overall returning. The Fed's been putting up interest rates gradually over the last some period of time, about 2 years now. So on the face of it, is looking stronger than it really is. So the dollar is looking soft, but I would certainly be interested in taking opportunities as they come to the upside. So 30-minute on that. Dollar Swiss, I've also been a bull on for quite some time. I'd like to take the opportunities when I can. In this case, there's been a nice valid 4-hour trend trade. Didn't start the nicest of ways as far as that crossover, but it's certainly coming along now. Only about 25 pips at its high, and currently just above break even, only 10 pips. But there's a way to go on that. So I still see that as a trade that has some way to go to the upside. Dollar yen, I mentioned this yesterday as well, and it's interesting. It's given a valid trend trade, but I would say that was when the price was at the close of the bar, and this was a bi-directional market. It has since changed, just in the last 2 hours since this bar closed, that provided the signal to downward. So that's a little concerning, but the trend trade as it was valid. So at this stage, technically it'd have to be the price busting through the slow moving average for it to be more of a confirmed collapse. So yesterday I said that there was an opportunity to go long, and I still think that's the case, and we'll come back and revisit that and see how that environment has changed, if it has at all. Euro yen, this was another one that I was fairly interested in. It didn't come up as a valid trend trade, which is interesting at the time, and now we're seeing some possible fluctuations in the euro. So maybe not the opportunity that I was looking at yesterday. However, keep an eye on that. It might be good for a swing, particularly if the euro rallies. Pound yen, yesterday I said it was fairly weak, and it's continued to be weak, but there's no real short trade on this at this stage. You're seeing a lot of consolidation here, so it's a bit of a coin flip as to which way it can go. Aussie yen, nope, not interested in that one. Kiwi yen, really low already after quite a bit of consolidation. Yen crosses, you'll always see similar patterns. CAD yen, no, not really interested in that either. Swiss yen, no, not at all. I want to see a big move one way or the other. If I see a big move to the downside, then I'll wait for a flip of that. And sometimes, it's the name of the game. You will have false breaks to one side, but that's a good thing because it stretches price one way and wait for it to come back and form a nice trade, because this would still be a good trade to the upside if we get a move down and then move back up. We get a nice trend trade with some momentum. These ones they were just really, really tiny. You want to see that bell curve happen on that yellow moving average particularly, and coming back up. But as it stands now, no trade. Euro Aussie, okay, so I did get a little excited about this yesterday, and it has moved up a little bit. It's given a swing trade since then, but not a lot. There's still an opportunity in it, and certainly it's favorable conditions, 6 out of 6, and it's not really super high at this stage either. There's still another 110 pips to go. Still an opportunity, even albeit late, a possible opportunity to get in on a long for the Euro Aussie. Pound Aussie a little bit slower off the mark, but it certainly looks like the first starts of it changing. This is, even though signals are coming out here, I've got it set so it catches a decent swag of signals for with swing trades, even quite a distance from the crossover. But that's more for me just to see what's happening. But I wouldn't be I wouldn't have taken any of these shorts because, well, this one actually did turn out okay, but still. And it was after a nice correction, so that's got it going for it. But these in particular, they're pretty far distance from the origination of the trend, and no real correction that you can see like this one. It was going down, corrected up, and then swung down on this signal. On the close, it gave the signal, which is why we see the arrow was on the next bar over from the bar that actually created the signal. So, if we get some nice movement up here, we could see a bidirectional market occur very easily, and maybe even an upward. And then, while there's some good opportunity to the upside, but out of the two, the Euro Aussie is stronger than the Pound Aussie. So let's have another look at another one. Okay, Euro Kiwi. Well, this one hit target. All right, so buy dollar CAD. Let's go back to that. I'm gonna just put that to the side. And I did say at the time, the Euro Aussie or the Euro Kiwi, and the way to choose that would be to determine which was the weaker of the two, the Aussie or the Kiwi. I stated the Kiwi was, and even though the technicals, as I was analyzing it in my mind, turned out to be totally correct, but I still had a soft spot for the Euro Aussie, and I still do, particularly if we see a nice move down on the Aussie. Remember, we just saw the Aussie. Let's just revisit. Indulge me. The Aussie, it's got a way to go, and it is in a valid trend trade now, and the Euro is it's been consolidating. We need to see a move up, or we need to see a nice fall in the Aussie, and either of those two things, preferably both of them, stronger Euro and a weaker Aussie. If we can't get just one or the other, we'll see the Euro Aussie very likely to move up. But back to the Euro Kiwi. Congratulations if you took that trade. One of the reasons that I wasn't as crazy about it was because it was already so high. But the beauty of that is when you see those turnbacks, you know that, like in this case, there was a lot of money already on the long trade, and these guys don't necessarily want to give up straight away. They're keeping their trades for a long time. If you got in here, you've got plenty of profits in your account, so you can afford to hold on to it a little bit longer, depending on how you're trading. So where do we go from here? Let's have a look at the daily. Okay, so daily we're right up to highs, and it's broken this high previously. So if we're looking on pure price action, high here is 62.47.7 for this white bar, and what have we done so far? 62.49.7. Okay, it's only 2 pips, but it's it has, this high is higher than this high, which was higher than this high, and of course, both of these are higher than this high, which was the key high pivot. So I've got confidence in this, and then when you zoom out to the weekly, tells a different picture, doesn't it? It's like, wow, this has still got a long way to run. If there's a move here on the markets, you've got almost 1,800 pips to this ultimate high. So fantasy aside, unless you went on holidays for a month and left your trade assistant off, so it wasn't managing your trade, I mean, you might achieve that, come back to a nice surprise. But the first thing is we've got to get over this hurdle. But good opportunity. It would be nice to see a stronger euro, and it would be nice to see a weaker Kiwi. So if those two things happen, then um, congratulations if you're already in that trade. Pound Kiwi. Okay, this is looking better than the Pound Aussie. Pound Aussie was hadn't even formed yet, and it was still downward. But Pound Kiwi tells a different story, and that's mainly because the Kiwi collapsed. So the pound isn't as strong as the euro, but we're really stretched to those price points. We might have a flip, a reversal situation happening with the pound suddenly becoming stronger than the euro as a bit of correction occurs. So how does that matter with this trade? Well, it's a good potential trade. 4 out of the 6 pointing up. There's a decent what is about 80 pips on the risk, and over 200 pips, 210 pips, 230 pips to the high. Uh, so what are we looking at? 1 to 3 risk reward, and that's good. 3 times reward to your risk. So Aussie CAD, no, not really into that. A lot of noise, not on the Kiwi CAD. However, if you did take it, then congratulations, that was a good one. Euro CAD and Pound CAD, no trades there. So just revising, Pound Kiwi's looking really interesting. Euro Kiwi's already bolted, and that's going well. Euro Aussie still has a lot of room to play. Turned out slower than I thought, but I was correct in as far as the Kiwi being weaker than the Aussie, and therefore the Euro Kiwi moved up higher. Euro yen, that's not looking like a trade anymore, but the dollar yen could be. I'm alarmed by this last bar, but it's still only halfway into the bar. It's not the first time I've seen a fake, and the bar hasn't closed yet. It'd be interesting to see how it reacts, if it reacts off this fast-moving average. That would be the ultimate. I would lose a lot of confidence in it if it came down to the slow-moving average. Dollar Swiss, though, much more interesting trade to the upside. Dollar CAD, good opportunity there, potentially 30 minutes is what I'm thinking. So yeah, Kiwi again finding a little bit of support there. We could have a fall on the Aussie. That would be something that would be nice to see. And Euro possibly, however, it's not the strongest of trades, and it's tried 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th time it's tried to move. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, but if we get a move now, and it has changed now to overall downward, but we shall see. Aussie maybe the one to watch, and dollar Swiss maybe, but Aussie definitely looks like a pretty good opportunity, and that's why the Euro Aussie is not going as well as the Euro Kiwi or the Pound Kiwi. Pound Kiwi looks like a really good opportunity because of the reasons that I've mentioned before. I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Thanks for listening to my rambling thoughts. So until next time, good trading, live well, and I'll see you soon.